everyone, it's Karin here with the Academy of Scoring Arts. I'm also here with Wein. Hi Wolf,
Hi,
we're happy to have you.
thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm like most excited, and it was most unexpected to win.
Exactly. So yes, Wolf is the winner of our shortlist 2 hour composing challenge last Sunday. We give a group of composers 2 hours to write up to 40 seconds of music, and Wolf was one of the winners. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
Um, so before we jump into your composition, I just wanted to give you a little chance to talk about yourself. So what is your background?
What is my background? Well, I started out as a bass player after the
Okay.
mandatory piano and recorder
Yeah,
lesson.
I see the bass in the background there.
Well, yeah, oh yes, that's only a short selection of them.
Oh,
So,
I'm sure.
uh, so I played a lot in bands, and I quickly realized what I enjoyed the most was writing and producing, recording, all that stuff that comes around with it. And I after high school I got really serious with it, so I started to study music and um, ended up having a master's degree in music,
Wow.
which I mean, it was fun. It was good times. I was
Mhm.
lucky enough to get a scholarship.
Where
But
did you go to school?
oh, I was. It was first in Austria. I am from Austria.
Oh, okay, all right.
Conservatory there, then University of Vienna, and then I got a scholarship to University of Miami, which was
Wow.
awesome. And after that, University of South Florida. That's where I finished the masters.
Okay.
And all this time, I took as many classes as I could already in writing and producing. Well, the major was still performance, of course.
Mhm.
And after school, I pretty quickly switched into pursuing producing and composing full time,
Okay.
and was super lucky in the Bay Area. We moved to the San Francisco Bay Area first when we came to California, and
Okay, that's where I'm from.
that's where you're from. Awesome.
Yeah, we're in the Bay Area.
It's
Where
a
did you live?
good place to be for music. We lived in Vallejo,
Okay.
just a bit outside. We tried to at the time we tried to buy something closer to San Francisco itself, but it was just unaffordable as many.
Oh, yeah. Completely unaffordable, yeah.
It's a good hub. It was a little bit outside, not too far away, and I could still connect with anybody I needed to there, and so
Yeah.
I connected with some game companies and got into game composing pretty intensively.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where the composing really started. That was around 2002, 2003, and I loved it and still love it. The uh, the games that we did was mostly for smaller handheld uh,
Yeah.
game units, but the cool thing was they were tying in their products to movies and a lot of existing properties. So I was always tasked with checking out the style that's been established for that, and then writing something in that style, basically
Okay.
giving it my own identity as much as was allowed.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It sounds like that's a good time to get into game composing.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, the first games that I did, it was platforms that didn't even have audio streaming on it yet. It had a small MIDI player, so it was, and you only had 6 tracks, so a monophonic track.
Oh, okay. Wow.
The general MIDI sound set. That was excellent training actually, because it kind of showed like to pay attention to each individual line. You can just fill stuff up with stuff that sounds big.
Yeah.
And, so each line counts and is relevant for the music.
Right. So it's similar to chamber composing.
Kind of, you can see it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just thought, well, that's brilliant training. And what was also brilliant about it, like each game was totally different because
Okay.
there were these different platforms. So there was a Ratatouille game and the Cars game and
Oh, very fun. Awesome.
and then Spider-Man and Transformers and then SpongeBob. So
Cool.
yeah, it was totally fun. I loved it.
Yeah. So what brought you to LA?
Yeah, so we that's my wife and me decided to move to LA for one, just to explore new waters, so to speak, and also one of the things that I really enjoyed within the games is scoring the in-game music,
Hmm.
and so I said I wanna do more of that. I wanna score more to picture, and of course LA is still the place where that happens a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah. So it's interesting you said that you wanted to score for animation because I think your submission really demonstrates that.
Yeah.
So let's share your screen now, and then you can take us through what you wrote for the competition.
All right.
Such a fun cue.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So when we were choosing the musical parameters for you guys, and we chose the photo, I expected everyone to do something a little bit more humorous, but it was interesting to see people took all sorts of approaches with it. So we got all sorts of genres. We got some action, some something more mysterious, some horror cues, and I'm glad that you took this approach because it's such a jaunty and really animated cue. So yeah, just give us a rundown of how you approached it and where you use the different ingredients.
Yeah, well, so how I approached it is it's like you say, I saw the picture and I just started thinking, well, what is this? I mean, a bunny, a cat suit,
Yeah.
but they're really close to each other and they're kind of having an argument, it sounds like, but they're not really fighting. There wasn't really any outright anger or hostility that I
Mhm.
thought. It was just that's also what kind of informed the title, like cats got your tongues
Oh yes, Cat's Got Your Tongue. That's the title of the cue. Yeah.
anymore what to say because she is probably telling him something that he doesn't really like to hear. That was kind of my story, but it wasn't a serious drama. It was more like I figured part of some comedy
Hmm.
and or like romantic comedy or whatever it could be.
Right.
And so that's why I yeah thought okay, let's go with the comedy stuff as um, risky as it may be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm glad you say you kind of expected that.
That's what we were. Yeah. That was our thought behind it, but that's not exactly what happened, which was great, and I loved how everyone approached it. But I really appreciated your
Me,
cue and how it brought out the humor in it.
right. And so then the percussion instrument I yeah used it right in the beginning
Hmm.
and at the end of the intro, just basically as a little start of the cue, so to speak. I figured that works well. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things. If I had had more time, I would have cut up that sample and put it in sampler in Logic and process it a bit and use it as a percussion instrument. But that's when there is more time.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
that.
Exactly.
But yeah, and then so uh, the first idea that I had was this: should we show notation or let's see, does that work? Oh, not really, but that's kind of okay. Was this um, pizzicato line, which is of
Hmm.
course a lot of the stuff is going with cliche, right? I mean, comedy animation and what's the first choice is bassoon and pizzicato, but it works to get ideas started, I think. So that's what I started out with that, and then I then just figured, okay, that's my that's also using the rhythm that you gave us.
Yeah, the ingredient. Yeah.
That also basically contains the core of the chord progression that I was going for, which is also kind of quirky. I like this kind of stuff. It's I see it as a mixture of just diatonic harmony and modal harmony that jumps around. Because
Okay.
as you see in the beginning, it starts with G minor and then it goes to E flat, which is expected, but it doesn't go to E flat major, it goes to E flat minor,
Okay.
which kind of is a little bit surprising, but uh, still kind of within the realm. And then it jumps to A major, which
Okay.
same thing. The
Yeah.
uh, I mean, as I did this stuff, that's not what I was thinking. That was what are we doing here? That was I basically looked at it afterwards and say, well, what's going on here actually? It's kind of this interesting thing while composing. Um, the hopefully the analytic mind is not in the foreground.
Right. Right. So when you are approaching something like this, what do you decide first? Is it the melody? Is it the chord progression?
Oh, well, it varies. In this case, like I say, this is what I started out with. Is this kind of little motif, and I wasn't sure is that going to be a bass line or is that going to be in another register. It didn't sound like a melody to me, although it has kind of contour. Um, so I figured, okay, that's just my starting riff, and I'm gonna build things around it. Um, and the next thing then that I added was just some bass notes in the bassoon in this case. And then I knew, well, that means I'm gonna write a little melody on top of that. But so together with the bassoon, it is then. It, so those two lines closely go together, and are just a little bit different too. And that's also I guess that's one of the things that I learned when I did those games that I said in the beginning where I only had
Mhm.
two tracks.
Yeah.
Um, they support each other but still have independence, and it I think makes it more rewarding or interesting to listen to, as simple as it is.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's that part. Basically, all the chords are implied with that, and one thing that I do is when I start like that, I just that I just write myself out quickly what chords.
Oh wow, you even sketched some stuff out. Okay.
I mean, that takes seconds
Yeah.
because since those are not all diatonic chord progressions, um, and especially when I'm pressed for time, there's the danger that I forget, hey, what was I doing there, and think
Exactly. Okay.
quickly write that out.
Yeah.
And yeah, then the next thing that I like said, I thought, well, it needs a little bit of a melody, and so that's where this came in then. Which, the, when I hear this now, all this sounds as if it were a sketch, and it's if I spent more time on this
Mhm.
what I would work on, right? To just properly do the little phrasing details and the MIDI controllers to make it sound
Okay, so just a little bit more sweetening of the samples and stuff like that.
most definitely.
Okay.
That was the that's just the motif, and then I just repeat that motif on E minor, E flat minor. Uh, yeah, that's it. And um, after that, I wanted to have some kind of ending, some section
Mhm.
that leaves it open at the end, but still is like a little development of the whole piece.
Yeah.
Um, that I mean, the question is, well, would that work for an underscore or not? That would depend on how the scene develops. I
Right.
tell this story, and this could be the melody of the story, or like the beginning theme song, or not. Or, but just to kind of round out the piece, and then that's where the ending section then came, which in the strings. By the way, I did clean this up just a little bit.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, there were a few, when I hit it on the keyboard. I'm not a keyboard player, I'm a bass player.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I hit some notes double.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's hard to catch if you're, doing something really quickly.
And but that's still basically what it was. Just this upward movement towards the end. That was the basic idea.
Yeah. What library is that?
Oh, that's actually Symphobia.
Symphobia. Okay.
That's my sketch pad for,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it ended up being the final thing. But yeah, I mean, they sound really good. They're fine. They don't have as much.
It does sound good. Yeah.
Don't
And
have.
what impressed me about your cue was how well it was orchestrated too. And
Oh, thank.
um, yeah, and it does sound very complete as
And
well.
um, yeah, thanks. It's great to hear. Because if you look at it, it's like, what is it? Two, four, five, six. This one is just doubling. So it's 7 tracks basically.
Yeah.
This point.
Yeah. Well, the lines work really well together.
Yeah, yeah. And that was, see, if we talk about, so what would I do if I had more time?
Mhm.
I would have likely just filled it out a little bit with some doublings in,
Okay.
for sound reasons, and maybe add a subtle pad
Okay.
as the head come in. And the main thing is there's no percussion in it, which uh,
Yet it's still a very percussive cue because of
it
the staccato and everything.
just like a little shaker, for example.
Yeah, that the sample. Yeah, right.
I would have had it, but it's you're right. It's the danger is, of course, and that's the danger if you have too much time,
Exactly.
stuff,
Exactly.
messing things up. So yeah,
Yeah, which is interesting because to me it doesn't sound lacking at all.
well, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
So do you have any tips for anyone who want to maximize their creativity in a short amount of time?
Huh? Yeah. I think David David Das
Mhm.
said it the best, where he said he just learned to trust his decisions and to be able to quickly judge what idea is worth pursuing and what isn't.
Yeah,
I find that excellent advice, and I know for myself, it's an ongoing learning process.
same, same here. Absolutely.
Sometimes it works well, and other times it's just like, what am I doing? But
Yeah.
that's, um, I think that's the best, and that's also what I heard other composers say. Like I talked to composers who work on TV shows, for example, and
Right.
they
Right.
more than 10 music a day, and I ask them, so how do you do it? And invariably, the best answer I get is, well, I learned to just quickly trust my ideas or throw them away, and then uh, just pursue that and copy what is possible to copy. Like when you work on a TV show, you have a certain, obviously, a certain musical palette, and
Mhm.
you can reuse elements, so that quickly adds up then to material that one can use and copy and reuse.
Absolutely. It's an ongoing learning process though.
Definitely.
And it's often easier said than done in my opinion, at least.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing then though is to know a lot of, you could call them cliches. I like to call them a library of ideas or
Yeah,
arrangement concepts, song structure concepts that one can fall back on.
absolutely. That's good advice.
Yeah, use as starting points. Like, because the biggest challenge I find sometimes is to get started, to just put something down.
Yeah.
And because as soon as something there, uh, typically the ideas follow if it's a good idea. That's actually a good indicator. If no ideas follow, then maybe it's not such a great idea, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't lend itself to develop. Um, so having these starting points, and they can be totally cliche, like what I started with, like pizzicato and bassoon. It's like really cliche for this stuff, but yeah, it gets one started. It's totally worth it
Yeah,
to
I'm glad you mentioned that because it is good to have an arsenal of ideas of things that sound good that are ready to go when you need them. Yeah, that's really good advice.
right. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Wolf. We hope to have you back again. We want to do more of these events, and I definitely enjoyed looking at your queue today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
that you do more. It's really a great idea. And you know, I heard people talk about speed composing a lot.
Yes.
I just never got around to actually doing it outside of having projects where,
Exactly. That's exactly why we put this on. We wanted like a little bit lower pressure setting to, you know, for people to kind of reassess their whole process and to kind of give peer feedback too to
yeah,
other people's work. So
that's
I'm
it.
glad you enjoyed it.
All right, I did. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Wolf.